Well, back in the podcast seats, poet.
Right, brother.
How you doing, bro?
Pink t-shirt looks gang.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
Been a bit of an intense, mad week, hasn't it?
Yeah, I want to start off definitely by saying RIP to Jamal Edwards, RIP to Skibbity. Like, these are two integral figures within the culture. Two individuals that done so much. Highly influential from my side. I've grown up watching one, and I felt like I was involved with the other. So, from a personal aspect, it's been a crazy week from that side.
Yeah, it has. It's been like a lot of revelations, I think, and yeah, when people go, it's just so even hard to grasp sometimes.
Yeah, man.
When someone goes and that's been a part of your life, that you've had interactions with, that has impacted the world in such a way.
Yeah.
Jamal Edwards, I guess, for me, had a big impact on how I viewed content, how I watched music videos, what I consumed, what would like the grime scene be without him. Just so many things, so many moments. Like, he was the channel, sort of the manifestation, the channel for all of us to see many different things. And it's obviously a big shame that he's not with us anymore. But I think we spoke about this before, and like even like death as a thing. I spoke to you about my friend that 2017 she took her own life, and she was like doing a bit of modeling, and this was in Serbia. And remember, like, I'd show you her image being used in London. For like billboards.
It's crazy, bro.
You know how mad that is?
It's crazy.
Like, we were going on a shoot to Manchester, and then her face was used for like the building of a new build. Like the outside bit. And I was like, "Oh, it's that girl. Remember, like the girl that I know." And then I even saw her at Finsbury Park. And then even I was like jogging. I was jogging in Tottenham, and I see her used for Haringey for like live well. Like, it's all, and like the messaging is so mad as well. It's almost like this weird universal irony. I think it's ironic. Is it ironic? I'm not sure if I'm using the right word.
I find it weird.
And then like I had like my friend sent me last week her image being used of her meditating in a park, and it says like National like Wellness Day, and her image is being used. And obviously, because I knew the girl, and I never used to see her image in the UK before, ever. I
think it's
and
a
then
bit
after she
insensitive,
passed, I've seen her image like in London in the most random of places, and she's not here anymore. But it's almost like she is still here, because it's making me think of certain things. It's making me think of like my mental health. It's making me think of how we exist after we go in this sort of physical realm.
Good point.
And it's really sort of, I don't know. I guess I kind of apply it to this situation as well. It's like, I know Jamal still lives through us.
Come on,
in many
cuz.
different ways,
Come on, man.
Those are really, I don't know, I guess conversations which are hard to break down as well, because how we view death, how we view the passing of people. Like Roel, like I know it was his, our friend Roel, who passed away.
Come on, Oskin.
Yeah, just like,
I think death is always
his
really
ideas his ideas still resonate within me. Almost like, yeah, like him and his way of life and how he carried himself. Still sort of, I still think of them, and I still feel like in a way he's a present in some way.
It's the spirit and the soul, man. It stays alive.
The energy kind of carries on.
Totally agree, man. It's just it's confusing for me. That's all it is. Death has context in it. If you give context to death, I think you can accept it a little bit better. So as harsh as it sounds, because what we're going to speak about is war. When people do die at war, there is a part of me that's able to digest it easier. Not to say that it's easy, but it's easier. When people are old and they die, it's easier for me to digest.
Yeah.
When people are young,
it's hard.
at the peak of their powers and stuff like that, and all of a sudden they just disappear. And I've seen some people talk about, and this is not to make it an argument point, but people talking about, oh yeah, Jamal done his job. I'm just like, that's easy to say from what he's done and where we are. But I tell you what, there's not a lot of people that do the job that Jamal does. There's not a lot of people. So when people speak about the job being done, I'm like, you don't have a clue what the job even involves. Like, if you know the amount of people that are going to be affected by Jamal disappearing, I think it's very insensitive to go, well, his job is done. Bro, a man that lives for other people, their job is almost never done. And he consistently lived for other people. And I just go, if his job is done, who's taking that role? Who's taking that role? Because people don't even like that role. They just like to know someone in that role. They like to know that they have someone around them that is willing to do absolutely anything for them. But would they take on that role themselves? Of course not. So when people go, the job's done, I'm like, It's not. That job needs to live on forever. And someone like Jamal, who's laid down such a beautiful blueprint, I just hope that we find the next person that's willing to be that. Is it selfless is the word? Like someone just doesn't. He just doesn't live for him. He lives for his community. He's just.
That is perhaps the message, though, isn't it?
Man. Yeah, but
through that I'm not saying the statement is right, but perhaps that's the message of the statement is we can then learn from him and what he stood for.
I think it's a very ideal. You know me, I don't like idealistic things. I like knowing that we've got work to do, and certain jobs have to be done irrespective of the circumstances. And that job that he started, man, he is an angel, a full-blown angel. And we'll find out in 2, 3, 4 years' time. His job, we would love to appreciate it now. When you haven't got someone that will go, oh, you want to do that? No problem. Just phone up Ed Sheeran. Yeah, I'll sort that out for you. No problem. What do you want out of it? Oh, nothing. When you lose someone like that can connect Ed Sheeran to like the sat down in Zoom calls with Alhan, wants nothing from it, just wants to help Alhan. When you lose someone like that, I don't know, man.
It's a huge loss. It's definitely a huge loss. Can't really dispute that. I think in any way, I think people are just trying to find ways to cope, and I think there's many different ways that people, I guess, express themselves when someone goes, and I don't know. I try not to overly. I don't know. I guess maybe I don't have such an attachment to people's statements in that sense. I don't know. I feel like people are just trying to cope, and in such situations, it can be very difficult, I think, to express in the best way, especially verbally, when you're processing such intense situations.
Do you know what it is? Usually I wouldn't care, Vuj, but you see Jamal is one of the most important people in this community, and I just think you shouldn't rush to the net to express your opinion.
For sure.
So when people do it, I'm like, he didn't rush. He took his time to help people. He took his time and he was a good man. So do you know what we're going to do? Before figuring out how we respond to this situation, we're going to take our time. And I just don't like the fact people are just... So they just want to say something about it to be part of the conversation. And I'm sure some of them do actually care. But I'm like, if you do care, the real thing in caring is thought, time, and then taking a look at it from the perspective of that, not from you. So like that job, I'm telling you, Vuj, I don't even know how he did it.
I mean, he's one of a kind. That's a one of a kind human right there.
Cause like
he was an incredible human being.
But yeah, maybe you're right, man. Some people are just trying to find coping mechanisms.
About the internet as well, and you know how the reactivity is like.
Yeah, for
reactivity in a way sells. Yeah. People want clicks.
Yeah.
And but not even just.
Even I'm a part of it. I'm here talking about it, so yeah. So on.
No. I mean, not even obviously Jamal's situation, but there's like basically a looming potential world war going on. It's insane for me to observe. I think from more like a psychological human psyche level, the people that lead this world, so-called leaders, I mean, it's horrible, man. It's horrible to witness.
Yes.
Again, but I think I guess now especially it's more in our face because it's happening in the West, and in Eastern Europe it's quite close to the superpowers of America and Russia. There's more, I think, media attention on it because this whole year there's been war going on, and my friend from Ethiopia, she's always posting about what's been happening in Ethiopia. There's been a huge conflict there, huge war. Obviously, you've got Syria, you've got Palestine. It's almost like constant. There's constant conflict going on. I think this one's just been it's sort of front face in our faces through how much media attention it's getting and the implication geopolitically of the Cold War sort of reignited in a physical sense as well of actual potential warfare, physical warfare on the ground.
Would you know what? I feel like you'll be more informed than myself. So for the information that you do have, what is this war actually about before we start speaking about it?
I wouldn't want to claim I know too much. I think from what I've gathered from reading about it, it's Putin. He wants influence over Ukraine.
Okay.
Ukraine since I think early 2000, maybe 10 to 14, it was transitioning away from the influence of Russia. Obviously, it was a part of the USSR and NATO, which is more of a Western alliance, military alliance, has been increasing its influence on the East, and Ukraine has become more of a Western-leaning country rather than leaning towards Russia. So unfortunately, Ukraine's become this sort of middle ground, and it's, I think what I've learned before in politics, there's like proxy wars. It's like wars that are fought in nations, which are basically between two other things. So unfortunately, the civilians of Ukraine now are having to suffer with all these bombardments from Putin and Russia, and I think that's the focus should be on the people, and that people are suffering, that the people of Ukraine are having to suffer due to the actions of I would say potentially a madman, but I don't think it's just him. I think it's the whole system is broken. I don't think it's just that everyone's bad. I feel like there's no real good in the political sphere of action. Obviously I studied it. I'm from a background of war. I was born during a war, so there's something that I don't stand for. It is war. That is I think like the least. Yeah, we have works outside. Yeah, but
never has this happened on this road.
There is someone drilling outside.
Why?
But yeah, man, I don't know. Obviously, I'm totally against it. I hope that it sorts itself out soon. But once again, it's just, the rich get richer, the powerful, they have their own, they're having these arguments over this piece of land, and it's the people, the common person that suffers. And that's, I think, the most awful thing about this. Even the Russian soldiers, I think I've seen some videos, some of them like 18, like 19. You're being sent front line to basically just die. And it's usually, I think that's where humans, perhaps down the line, maybe now, have to start asking the questions of, why do these things happen? What is the core reason these things happen? Why do we allow ourselves, maybe being idealistic, yeah, but will there be a time where we don't have to keep doing this?
No,
because we're being led by people that obviously don't care about people.
I mean, this is the problem. It's so difficult for me to speak about this, for sometimes without me thinking, I wonder how I'm going to come across, because I don't want to offend anyone.
But it's a very difficult situation to analyse. It is very difficult. Intricate, difficult. A wrong is being done by Vladimir Putin, because the way he is acting isn't the right way to do things. Obviously, geopolitically, there are arguments of wider implications of how the West has treated certain parts of the world, the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan.
It's ridiculous.
The West went into Afghanistan on a pretext of stopping the war of terror, and now the Taliban are back in power. These are the same people they were fighting. So it's almost like a circle of madness that keeps going on, and once again, it's always common people that are suffering, and I think that's the most horrible thing about it is that mothers, children are having to flee their places, their homes. Innocent people are dying from airstrikes, from bombs falling on them. It's ridiculous, and it's just how do we? I think that's the questions is how do we get to a world which perhaps these intricate questions can be spoken about and something can be changed. It's just very difficult.
This is a simple way of looking at it. Maybe it's a bit too simple, and it will be. But if I had an argument with you and I was in the wrong, what's the best way for us to get over it?
I guess, I don't know, speak about it. Someone owns up their wrongdoing and
there it is.
Responsibility.
It's just about accountability and honesty. Now, this is the thing. Do I agree with what Russia are doing? Hell to the no. Innocent lives are being lost, bro. If you lot got some issues amongst you and these guys, you go and find a nice place to go and deal with it. But when the moment you start affecting individuals that genuinely have no say in the matter and they just have to be involved without that's bad, bro. That's like, I don't even know how you man are just chill about that. Like, that's crazy, bro. But I'll tell you one thing, though. Bro. I've never in my whole entire life, been a part of something which is so global, but I don't feel a part of it. I've never, it's in everyone's talking point. It's everywhere. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. But I feel like I'm being shunned out of it. But we have to contribute. So I can give some more clarity to what I mean about that, because I don't think I'm being clear enough. So this is a war between two countries in Europe. I can be very honest with you and say I'm a young black man. This got nothing to do with me, bro. It's got nothing to do with me. This is the reasons why I feel like it has nothing to do with me. I'm going to show you 4 reports from the media.
I've seen. I think I know what you mean. You mean in terms of the media reporting it as like, this is the first war of, like, these people look like us. They keep saying that, innit? They keep being like, they have blue eyes and blonde hair. I've seen those. This is why I don't watch mainstream media in any sense or form, and I try to stay away from it, because they don't represent integrity, and I think there is a big ignorance in all of us, and ignorance lies, but
let me just play it, because I honestly want to make sure people understand fully where I'm coming from.
Changed the calculus entirely. Tens of thousands of people have tried to flee the city. There will be many more. People are hiding out in bomb shelters. But this isn't a place, with all due respect, like Iraq or Afghanistan, that has seen conflict raging.
So let me get this straight. If you're from a third world country or undeveloped place, then it's not, you've been through it before, so why can't you go through it again? This is a place that's not going through it. Okay, because I'm from third world countries, to be honest with you.
Now the unthinkable has happened to them. And this is not a developing third world nation. This is Europe.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Because if it was a third world country, then essentially we shouldn't feel so sympathetic towards it. This is the impression I'm getting. But
also, I'd say the reason that is also an ignorant
population. And as you're talking to us, Matthew, we're playing in the latest pictures of some of the refugees trying to get on trains or trying to get out of Ukraine. And what's compelling is just looking at them, the way they're dressed. These are prosperous. I'm loath to use the expression. These are prosperous middle-class people. These are...
Oh, prosperous middle class. It still carries on.
These are not refugees from Syria. These are refugees from neighboring Ukraine. I mean, that, quite frankly, is part of it. These are Christians, they're white, they're...
Whoa, wait. So sorry for me to conclude. This is where my confusion lies, just so everyone fully understands the complex individual of Poet. In the 1950s, the first generation of Jamaicans came over here to repair a country after the Second World War. We are from a country where our natural resources, especially originally from Africa, where our natural resources have been absolutely dismantled. To the point every year, Jamaican families that have stayed in this country and African families and Asian families have had to witness the Queen wear all the jewels and sort of like just laugh in your face like, ha ha, we conquered you and this is me saying you have to listen to us. To the point where our footballers that end up playing for this country then have to go, God save the Queen if they're an England player. Then they get MBEs to be part of the British Empire that conquered these countries. But the moment Russia's doing it to Ukraine, all of a sudden, the English are like, this is wrong. Now, this is my problem. If you have fed that narrative to people for so long and held on to the things that you've got the luxuries of conquering and so on and so forth, so that means more people coming over here to rebuild your country that are actually not from your country, and you've ended up, so we have to come and rebuild it. Then you take the jewels from the country. Then you... It's almost like, what the hell is this? And then you do this whole situation where, okay, we're talking about the Russian-Ukraine situation. Why do we have to be so specific about their religion and what they look like and their class? That has nothing to do with it. This is innocent lives being taken. So the moment that the media narrative and the media speaking to the people in this country is feeding them an agenda that the reasons why we should have a heightened level of care for the situation is because we're dealing with European middle-class blue-eyed white people, where does that put me? Where does that put the Muslim community that is from, parts of the world where these European countries have absolutely smashed up their stuff? How should they feel? Should they be going to war to support this? The way I look at the situation is it's an absolute shit show between loads of people that are not necessarily great people, and they're all arguing about things, it seems like, and this is ignorant, this is not me fully knowing, but it's just like, it's like, that meme of all the Spider-Mans pointing at each other? It's like that. You're all the same. So for you to look down on anyone, my brother, all these countries need to take accountability. America is built on death. If you were a white American, that is actually not your country. So for us to now be speaking about what the Russians are doing, and again, that is not right. But the first things we need to do, and I've kept saying it for about 5 years now, dance a yard. Dance a yard, man. We've got problems within this country that are they're crazy, bro. And if you really want to get the country's support, show the people within the country that you care. Don't just do this sort of global campaign of let's help Ukraine, but 4 or 5 years later, all the problems of you disrespecting ethnic minorities and so on and so forth is still here. Because when you cover it on the news, look at the way you're covering it.
Yeah, that's why I just don't engage in that sort of media. I almost am not surprised.
Okay.
But for me, I don't know, whatever comes out of the mouths of like mouthpieces of certain channels that are up there, I'm not surprised, because that's been happening for so long, that any sort of divisive, shocking statement that before I would have been maybe shocked by, I'm sort of like, well, this isn't surprising to me. It shouldn't be so, but I'm just not surprised by those statements, unfortunately.
But you know what's so peak, Vuj? That's members of the public.
But how silly it is always, like, even their ignorance of like middle class, etc., is Ukraine isn't like a rich country
At all.
And neither even is Russia. Ukraine, even in terms of corruption, Ukraine and Russia are one of the most corrupt nations globally. There's levels, like, it's not as if, once again, this isn't, well, even what she's saying in a way isn't true, but I guess for her, how she identifies it is,
and that's my, do you see?
Like, I think the sensationalization of it all, and they want us all, I think there's a lot of interest in war as well, you know, in terms of media interest, obviously clicks, etc. Then there's interest in selling arms. Lockheed Martin, a company which sells arms, has gone up in its stock price by like 30% or some shit. Do you know what I mean? So there's so much profit in what's happening as well that I think it's hard to break it down on a level of like pointing out the hypocrisies, because they're everywhere. I think all these hypocrisies, we've been aware of them for a long time. I don't even know where I'm going with this point, but it's just, now I had Sadiq Khan was like, London's ready for a nuclear attack. I'm like, bruv,
what are you?
But this is what I'm saying in my head. I'm like, I wish all these people
what are you talking about,
that
bro?
are ruling, that are sort of running all these narratives, will just go to a different planet. And why don't they go to a different planet, war each other, and let us normal people that just want to live life?
Why don't you all fight Putin one-on-ones? Go and have a fight. You'll lose. And
also, I think
have a fight.
These people that run these things, they should send their sons, and their families, their families should go to war, and fight for them. And you know what? Not even fight for the nation, because normal people don't want this. Most Russian people underground don't want this.
Stop talking on behalf of people.
Don't want this. You know? And bro. It's like, I think it's so easy to sort of start painting everybody in the same picture when humans, normal people, don't. No, psychologically, we don't want these things.
But then again, this is why I say to you, for me anyway, personally, this is when I begin to see let's take a look at COVID, for example. We had our perceptions of COVID. Whether we're right or wrong, we'll find out now, I guess, because no one seems to care about it now. But when that happened, and when people were speaking, when this spoke, the television I'm pointing at, by the way, when that spoke, a lot of people listened. Whether I like it or not, a lot of people listen. Now imagine this. Yeah. But imagine this. I live in England. And some of the media coverage that we've seen is English media coverage. Now, if I'm aware that they listen to people about COVID, how's it going to be when there's a potential world war happening and the media is creating divide within the people? At a time when we're meant to be together, we're creating divide. So then I go, how much people have the same perception and the same opinion as that? Because I'm out here blaming all of these leaders, because there's a lot of you that share this opinion.
But that's why for me, I try to focus on who doesn't share that opinion, because
you're going to have to leave. Because I reckon where we are, unfortunately...
But there's also a lot of people having different types of conversations, which are more balanced. I think that's actually finally rising, as much as this does exist, and I can't ignore that it doesn't exist. There are conversations like Russell Brand, for example. He has much more, I'd say, balanced conversations, which try to be nuanced.
100.
And I think that's the way to head, is more nuance and understanding and wanting to communicate rather than straight away decide what it is and fight and have reactions and live in that reactionary way. I think that's the thing of the human psyche. We're so easily, we're tribal. We can be divided easily.
True. Very true.
And we have certain attachments to history, to nation, to creed, to culture that can be misused and manipulated so people go against each other. I mean, I'm from it myself. I haven't experienced it. We're coming to this country from a war zone, moving around, in the Balkans, and if you have seen so many dumb statements, like it's just like the level of ignorance is astounding of people being like, this is the first time a war's happened in Europe since World War II. And I'm like, wait a minute, 91 to 1995, there was the Yugoslav War, which was one of the worst conflicts since basically World War II. So it's almost like there's so much fire being added and fuel being added, and even socials, I'm seeing stuff shared which isn't even Ukraine.
It's other countries.
And you're like, wait a minute, that wasn't even someone's. People are just trying to get clicks and likes. And the more of us, I think, that start being in tune of, all right, how can I analyze information that's coming into me? How can I assess what's going on from a more calmer perspective? I think the better it can be for us all. I think the more we sort of feed that monster just keeps getting bigger, because it wants us to, I would perceive, to be in that sort of state all the time. And once again, we have to say it. I don't support anything that Russia's doing, or Putin or the governments that
man, just don't support war.
I also don't support NATO or their military.
I don't support war. I don't support
actions
guns
either.
Yeah.
I am not for the militarization of nation or individual.
But I tell you what I am for.
I understand its existence because we have been conditioned, and war and battle and all these things have happened for centuries. So it's hard to just, I think, for any human that's in that world to just snap out of it. But we have the opportunity to, I think, change our psyche, and that perhaps is an idealistic way to look at it. But what other way do you go apart from change? Will only happen through, I think, radical thought and wanting to shift something rather than sort of fight against it, because it's the same things happening like all the time. Like, where did that, even for example, like they said that the TV, I turned it off during COVID times. I was like, bruv, I'm not watching this shit anymore. Like, these man, like, you can't just be doing death counts every second and red writing everywhere, and like, that's not going to be good for my mental health or my brain. You feel me? No one's telling me cutting my exercise down, for my safety, etc., as they were pitching it. And then now it's just like, that doesn't even exist anymore. Like, all I'm seeing on the news now is death count in Ukraine, civil bombs going off, and you're like, what is this world that people up top are creating? Because it's not. We're living relatively in peace. Thank God. Some, unfortunately, other people in other parts of the world aren't, but it is the people that are sort of in these positions of power. And I wonder, in an ideal world, this is my sort of ideal thinking. Imagine, let's for example, Putin or someone, or America, they were like, we're going to go to war tomorrow, and everybody just went, nah, you're good. And the army just went, nah, I'm alright, like, I'm actually just going to go do this and that. Who would they war? Who would war who? Like, if that level of human, I guess, intellect and psyche shifted. But I think that's you have to do a lot of work on internally, personally, to get to that stage.
And the thing is, you talk about the work internally we have to do. The people they're manipulating the most are the people at the bottom of the food chain. The people at the bottom of the food chain don't even have an hour in their day more time to think about their own day. They literally just, they're freestyling, a lot of people, They don't have time of thought because they probably have got
work,
money to make, they got kids to look after. So the moment you start throwing death in front of that person, their whole thing in their life is survival. So then that becomes an additional thing they have to survive. Yeah. And the whole reason that group of people are here in the first place is because these European countries smashed up their natural resources, smashed up their places to live, and then forced them to live here. And then all of a sudden, man just got to do with every agenda that you lot are putting in front of. It's absolute. Honestly, Vuj, the best way for to describe this in my head is these people are genuinely crazy. I'm not talking like they're beyond a mental home. These people are beyond a mental home because there's no thought. There's no thought about the communities.
No, there isn't. No,
that you've never been to that are being affected. It's just me and my little ass and my family. As long as we're good, I don't care what happens to them.
I think it's
what the hell.
I think it's. I mean, if you look into like psychopaths, sociopaths, I think these are the people that are drawn to those positions of power because human that's happy and more content and maybe perhaps can have conversations and communicate, they're not drawn to those positions. You know, if you want to rule over a nation, I don't think you're probably the most sane person. Do you know what I mean? If you are willing to just look at life as, that's 2,000 people dead there, that's 100 people dead there, that's 20, I'll send out another 10,000 troops. Like, you're not going to be the most wonderful human being. So perhaps it's about reframing, you know. It's crumbling. The society as we know it is crumbling, and it's it's down to us, I think, to start changing those perceptions of how we view it, rather than keep feeding the beast. And we all, to some extent, have fed the beast. We still continue to feed it. It's hard to...
But we have to. The reason why we have to feed the beast, Vuj, we have to feed the beast, is because for us, where we've come from and the position we're in life right now, we've come from the gutter, my brother. Just to make it in context, fam, you wasn't even born here. You was born in a war and you came over here, and for what you're doing in your life, you should be extremely proud of yourself. From a bloody council estate full of killing, drugs, you name it, dad went prison, all sorts. So the thought and the frame of mind and the thinking and the place that we should be in is the people that are being influenced. Because we understand the people that are being influenced and we understand the messages that are being sent, we have to kind of feed the beast, because essentially we're educating some of the people that are ignorant.
But how are you viewing the beast? What do you mean by the beast? What is the beast to you?
To me, the beast is everything that doesn't align with us moving forward in the world. So that's the... But you have to feed it.
What do you mean feed it? How would you say? Because I don't think this conversation is feeding the beast.
Unfortunately, it is. It's not like...
Necessarily, we're not inflaming division. We're not. That to me is the beast, because the beast wants division.
No, the beast wants attention.
The Matrix wants.
The devil wants attention. The devil wants you to know he's in the room.
True.
And once you give him attention, you've got an opinion.
But this is why I don't. For example, like I know. I guess we're having the convo now. So
yeah.
That's why I don't personally like to overly give an. I don't think like, for example, in this conflict, I don't have an opinion on who's better or who's worse.
No.
It's almost like, how do I step out of this and how do I analyze it, where you can have a conversation on how it can potentially be stopped, or how can you overall end suffering? And that's what I think the goal should be, rather than...
I think that is way, way, way too ideal. That's so idealistic.
That's just... But when you've been through a war, the only way you can go is idealism, or you go the other way, which is...
I don't think that's the only way you can go. It's the way you've chosen to go.
I think it's one off.
Yeah, of course.
Because I know so many people that have the identity of the background I've gone from, and they've closed themselves up, and all they've done is create an identity where they just seek more conflict. And they have such a strong shield over their identity that they would fight for it, or maybe die for it.
Jesus.
So it's... these, I think, are necessary conversations to be had around identity and attachment to identity and where we're from, etc.
It's awareness, isn't it, Vuj? Some people are not even aware that they're being led by the beast. So unfortunately, I've got to go, this is the beast. I know he's going to get attention, but bro, ignore him. Ask yourself about the principles you learn in bloody nursery as a child. Like, ask yourself about the principles that are shared amongst religion. Ask yourself about the principles that are shared amongst a good family. And then say to yourself, what the hell is going on out here?
I agree with what you're saying, though, in terms of, I think, a very powerful thing you can do is ignore. Obviously, it's hard to ignore in the world we live in, but there is a power in, I guess, in some way. Imagine everybody ignored the rules of... If we took it to an extreme, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is imagine everyone ignored the rules set upon, or the actions of the powerful, I guess people in elite positions. How would the world look like, you know?
Vuj, me and you in 2017.
It's a different type of world.
Someone sent me the clip again. In 2017, me and you said on Copa 90, what would the world be like if everyone didn't go to work for one day? People would acknowledge that they are the power. People are the strong, and it happened.
In lockdown.
And it happened.
It did happen.
That's what I'm trying to say to you. So, like, my point is, we have to educate people that they are the strongest currency, stronger than dollar, yen, euro, pound. People are the strongest currency. They're the strongest currency. And the moment that you're manipulated as a person, someone's using you as currency, and they're getting benefits for it. So I'm like, don't be someone's currency.
Exactly. So I think my overall point is to be aware of how I individually can be manipulated by whatever it is, the triggers that are within me. And I think the more you're aware of these things, the less people that are in positions where they want you to react in certain ways, you stop giving them energy, and then your energy goes elsewhere. And yeah, I'm still sort of figuring things out on a daily basis. And as I said, like Russell Brand's a channel which I enjoy consuming. There's other channels which sort of I think offer a different point of view to, as I said, those clips you've showed me are insanity.
It's insane.
But that's it. There's an insanity to them where I don't know what I'd say to those people. Like, how?
So imagine this.
But that's something. It's like if I argue with, it's like, how do you change that perspective? It's difficult.
I don't even want to change perspective. I was saying this off camera before we started. This is what I've said, and I've said it to my friend last night, and I'll say it to everyone at home. And I understand you might be upset by this, but it's the honest to God truth. I'm not saying it because I made it up. You have to make a choice. Not one of you human beings on planet Earth can be everyone's friend. Not one of you human beings on planet Earth can agree with everything. It's impossible. So what you need to understand is who you are, where you are, and your past, your culture, your history, your heritage. That gives you a better understanding of the path that you potentially can take. Now, I'm only saying that because a war's happening where essentially we should all be uniting to try and stop this war. But in actual reality, what's happening is not only is there segregation down to who the enemy is, but it's even segregation down to who you should save. Who you should save at a time of war is becoming an issue. All that says to me is, if you ain't part of their team, they're not trying to save you. So then you got to go, so what team am I part of? Save that team. Work with that team. Just because you want to be a part of a team, at times like this, people show you what team you're on. This is why I said I don't rate the MBE from Marcus Rashford. This is why I said I don't rate bowing down in front of the Queen and all of that stuff. Because when in times of war, we're seeing what this country, unfortunately, thinks about the best practice in moving forward. Choose a side. Choose the right side. And it's horrible to say. It's horrible to say, but you can only go on loan to one club. That's all I'm saying. Can't be playing for two clubs at the same time.
I would even like Grace to say choose yourself.
But yourself, you're a part of something. No one man is an island.
I agree that no man.
If you're a Jamaican youth, you're a Serbian youth, if you're a Welsh youth, if you're a English youth, find out about your history, find out about your heritage, find out about where you're from, and then say to yourself, within this world, what path do I want to take? And it will become clearer. But like I said, if you're Marcus Rashford or you're any of these guys with MBEs and you're saying I'm a member of the British Empire, go and watch the news. Those people are members of the British Empire, bro. Go and watch the news and ask yourself, is this the empire you want to be a member of?
When I say choose yourself, I mean more mentally and individually and for your own peace, whatever it is to do for yourself.
That only becomes clear when you understand where you are. You can't choose yourself and you don't know where you are. You can't think about you and you don't know where you are. You don't know what's going on. You got to be like, all right, cool. Let me get to a safe space, understand, cool, and then think. Sometimes it's as simple as me saying, when work was too mad for me, I had to sit down with my family. That's a safe space. Let me think about, all right, cool. Now I can go back to work. This is life now. This is bigger than work. This is bigger than a relationship. This is bigger than everything. This is who the hell am I? Where am I from? Where am I going? You've got to do that research. I'm bloody well telling you, because when you watch the news, they're telling you about them. They're telling you about where they're from, who they respect, what they're doing. You can't be a part of that. It's openly told you. You have to figure out who you are and where you're going. That's the safest space for you. That's a place where you can have thought. That's where there's like-minded people. Not in this space, where everyone's just trying to be everyone's friend. It's not the space to be at, bro. Find out who you are. Find out who you are, man. But it's just upsetting it even needs to come to that.
Well, there's an effect on football.
Bro.
Because Chelsea are being sold, it looks like, by Roman Abramovich, who
for 1
was
billion.
the first foreign investor, tycoon, to come in and take over a club and change the landscape of English football and global football. After him, obviously, you had Man City and
for
you had
4 billion.
Liverpool. Yeah, it seems like there's so many shifts happening because it's obviously affecting football. Russian teams won't be taking part in Europa League, or I think other Champions League, even their national team, I think is going to get thrown out of qualification. So yeah, the sanctions element of the conflict is hitting other aspects of I'd say, Russian society and institutions. The banking's been blocked in certain parts of it. It doesn't look like it's gonna end well for the Russian people through the government, and obviously the Ukrainian people, unfortunately, as well. It's not looking bright either. Globally then as well, potentially, because it could lead to knock-on effects of other conflicts and wars. I guess we're just here in a washing machine. The washing machine of life.
The washing machine of life. Well, in this washing machine of life,
and
stick with the Chelsea thing. Let me stick with the Chelsea thing. Abramovich is basically saying he's selling it for 4 billion. And the reasons why he wants 4 billion, Chelsea apparently owe him 1.5 billion.
Okay.
So he wants to sell it for 4 billion. People have come in with offers of 2.2, in which he has rejected. And unfortunately, Abramovich has been sanctioned. He's got to go. He's selling it for 4 billion. It just makes me go, I wonder what this means for Chelsea moving forward.
I don't know if it's unfortunate. I don't know how, as a man, who he is. I don't know much about Abramovich. So is it
Fair
fortunate
enough.
or unfortunate? I don't know.
That's true. Who knows? As a football fan, then you're right. As a football fan, there are just certain things that have happened within football that I would like to always be concluded because of football. So to just know Roman Abramovich is no longer Chelsea owner, and I kind of liked him being Chelsea owner. He's almost like this guy that just came and changed his football club, made the competition stronger, gave us some great moments footballing wise. He has contributed to that. In life, I don't know what he's doing, but as a football fan, I would like to see you walk out because you go, hey, that's the end of my footballing journey. Donny's being kicked out because these guys want to go to war. It's just like, oh, come on, boys. I'm going to miss watching a Chelsea game.
Effect, man.
75th minute, it goes to the grey jumper guy or the t-shirt guy. You just see him there standing, arms folded. Like, there's not many owners, I feel like, care about their football club. A guy cared about his football club. Gone now.
But that's when nations fall apart. Yugoslavia was chucked out of Euro 1992.
Serious?
That's what Denmark won it. Denmark didn't qualify. When Denmark won it, they took Yugoslavia's space. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Yugoslavia qualified. Obviously, the nation was breaking apart and it was in war. So UEFA sanctioned the FA, etc., whatever it was, from what I believe, and they took Yugoslavia out because of the situation, and Denmark qualified. Because I think they played them in a playoff. I don't know, they were second or third in the group, whatever. So Denmark qualified, and then Denmark ended up winning it, which is a fascinating sort of story.
And that's at a time when Yugoslavia had some of the best players, bro. Like, you probably would have gone on to win that.
Yeah, but I mean, likely would have been. But that's why people would sort of, I guess, Yugo romantics, I think they call them. I think I have even been. I didn't even really live in Yugoslavia myself, but my parents did, and a lot of people have good positive experiences. A lot of people have negative, depending on which way I guess you experience the nation. But it's just there's so many ways to unpick it. But it has an impact. War has an impact on everything around. And once again, it's like, do footballers deserve to go through that? Footballers that probably most of them don't support it. They don't, but
does anyone?
It's almost like you have to go through that for something else to be stopped, and it's difficult to fucking break down, man. It's just it's madness. It's madness.
It's very difficult to transcend into football now. Speaking about football, because our minds are purely sort of.
Well, sorry. Did you see that guy that was joining the Ukrainian army, and he's got actually some big guy, the gym guy.
You think I wouldn't have had that in my archives? Let me show you.
It's just. Do you see that? He's like.
You mean meet Leon Dawson?
The guy that signs up, yeah.
Who's a model?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Leon Dawson, and I think that's maybe the reasons why I was even thinking about what I was thinking about when it came to Leon Dawson and so on and so forth. I don't know his story, innit? I don't know. I know if he gets arrested by the police, he's an IC3. So, I just thinking, again, I'm just going to keep repeating. I'm not saying don't defend people. I'm not saying don't help as much as you can. But please understand what we're getting ourselves into. Please understand what we're trying to help. Sometimes the best help you can give is to not get involved at all. And I'm not saying in this case that's the situation. I don't actually know what the best thing to do is right now. But I do know a majority of these individuals involved, if you do your history on the type of countries they're just as bad as Russia or worse.
Yeah, global.
Just as bad as Russia or worse. Right now, if Russia invaded Ukraine and stole some natural resources, and then in 100 years' time the president wore them on his shirt, no one would care. And I have proof of that because of what the Queen does. I have proof of that. You have stuff to let me know you invaded. You have an empire that lets me know you invaded. You have the Commonwealth Games at one point that lets me know you invaded. But because it was so long ago and it wasn't in our lifetime, nobody cares. Because this one we're witnessing, all of a sudden, we should have a love to... No. I don't love any of these guys. You're all done fuckery. You all deserve, in my opinion, to put your hands up and say, my bad. Change it and help these people. England can never convince me it's trying to help anyone. Never. Yeah, it's an ulterior motive.
As a state, I think states in general, there is always some sort of vested interest, and I am skeptical of any claims of humanitarian action.
Trust me, bro.
Because there is in the background often financial resource, geopolitical influence, economic influence that leads these decisions of policy in politics and government. And a lot of the time, I think, humanitarianism is used as a front for other influences, as we have seen perhaps in the Middle East.
They're just like they're trying to do loads of stuff. Like everyone's trying to do loads of stuff to back Ukraine because we all identify them in problems. So people that live in that country can go, at least my country defended that country. Ask your country, if you live in that country, ask how the country defended you during COVID. How did it make you feel comfortable? How did it make you feel safe? If you didn't feel comfortable or safe during that time when you needed it, why the hell do you think these people are going to do it for someone else? What? Without there being another ulterior motive or something. Like, I don't believe these people one bit. I just believe death is wrong. War is wrong. Killing is wrong. You shouldn't be doing any of these things. I don't believe in those types of things. But then I don't believe in the powers that be that are telling us information because of the way they say it and the history of these people. They have a history and a past of being bad people as well.
How does one now promote potentially Manscaped? The ones where this has been such a, I think, one of our probably deeper
we don't usually go deep.
This quite, intricate episode sponsored by Manscaped, so
come on. Listen, even through moments of adversity, we should smile. At funerals, I think about some of the best moments.
Is necessary. Definitely.
My brother, it's very necessary. Just like shaving your balls, just like your balls smelling nice. I think that is very necessary. Ask yourself, have you ever put your shirt on, you do the bottom button sometimes, or your boxer shorts, and your hair just gets caught, and it feels like one of the worst feelings in the world. Guess what? Because of us right now, that can disappear. Have you ever been apprehensive about showing the individual that you're about to go horizontally jogging with the condition and the state of the way your balls look, knowing that if you gave it a little shape up, you might feel a little bit more confident?
Yep.
We can help.
I've been there.
Manscaped can help. I mean, first of all, there's a ball toner.
You can give it a little open up here.
Brother, refreshing ball toner.
That's it.
Deodorant. So now the balls are smelling good.
Manscaped boxes as well.
Manscaped boxes.
And obviously the shaver as well.
Well, the shaver happens to be in the bathroom. I think we know why.
You've been using it.
I've been using it. And I can't lie to you. You see that little problem that you have down here where you get... I haven't had it in
give yourself a little
time.
Proper little shape up, innit? Little fade.
Brother.
Little pube fade.
You're lucky I'm not taking barbers.
Maybe Putin just needs a ball fade.
Maybe we all do.
Fade his balls and just relax. Go to a little island.
Before war, before they're about to... You man. Alright, everyone... Let's all get the Manscaped out. They all shave it, have little convos.
Yeah, they should settle wars of Beyblade battles. That would, I think, finally we'd have some sort of less violence at least. Literally just 1, 2, 3, let it rip. And that's it. Whoever loses, there you go. Here's lands yours.
Hope it never happens.
Why? What? That's better than bloody war. Actual war.
I want them to all have one-on-ones.
Yeah, all one-on-ones. Even start a power league, tournament. Do you know what I mean? And just have them all have football tournaments and stuff. That energy of madness that all these leaders have, just put it in a different way, man.
Or
because they have a lot of energy, clearly.
Why don't they do alternative?
You see Putin's table, bruv.
I don't want to.
My man sits in a different country, different time zone,
bruv.
And all these people sit how does he even talk? He talks to them via Zoom in the same room. People are mad. These people are actually insane.
The thing is, people can't go Vladimir Putin's mad now. Donnie was out here fighting bears.
Oh, we do have a discount code as well. And the
code
is in the link description. below. It's Poet Rouge 20. So yeah, when you buy it, Poet Rouge 20 gives you a little 20% off and free postage.
All right, look, maybe we should end now. Anyway.
That was good. I feel like we've gone a bit more bantery now. I was like, hey, I can talk about these things also in a funny way because they're still human. Putin still shits.
What?
Do you know
of
what I mean?
course, he fights bears.
Like Trump shits. Like Hillary
Trump's
Clinton.
not there.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? If Trump was there, I wonder what it would be like.
I know these people are mad though. Because what did I see? I saw some interview.
Yeah.
With Hillary Clinton. It was like a back. You know when like she's not on camera, but they're being filmed.
Yeah.
And then she's talking to the interviewer and she's like, yeah, and she's talking about Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
Obviously he's not a good guy, Saddam Hussein, but she was like, yeah, and then how we good, and then like we killed him. And in my head I'm like, I know he's not a good man. But the fact that you can even have a convo like that, where it's like, we got him, and we got him, we killed him.
But is Hillary a good woman?
Like you man are you're cool. Basically, they're cool with killing. Like all of them are just all these people up top, bruv. They must view us as humans just on the bottom. Like they must view us as pieces of shit on the bottom of their shoe. They must rate us so little that they can run these things. We're like,
they must. Let me break down again for you. Let me break down for everyone at home how I can talk about my struggle as a Jamaican youth.
Anti-establishment.
How can our people come, repair a country that we didn't destroy, to get chucked out because of, what's it called again? What was that thing that they had where even Cash-tastic got chucked out of the country?
The recent things that got pretty...
What were they throwing at Jamaicans for again?
There was that thing, the Windrush scandal.
Windrush. They started chucking the same people out that actually built the country. I'm talking some working class men missing their daughters' weddings. So they're having to watch it via Zoom during COVID in Jamaica on the beach whilst their children... Like, this is the country we're speaking about that robbed India. There's a mad jewel that they've stolen from India or somewhere in Asia. And the Queen just wears it and rubs it in the face of the Asian public every single Christmas to say, I conquered your country. Like, this is the people we're talking about. Prince Philip, the guy that passed away that used to consistently be extremely racist and everyone just didn't give a damn. Asking, is it the Asian, when he went to another country one time, asking if they still hunt with spears. And it was like 1993. Like, I can laugh at it. This stuff is funny. But this is the group of people that run the country. They don't give a damn about the working class. They couldn't give a flying monkeys about working class people.
I think that there is, even like China and the Uyghurs. Like, Özal arguably got let go. We don't know exactly, but that is the combo. That you couldn't speak about that. Remember, the NBA, you couldn't talk about that cause.
So you can't speak about Muslims, the Muslim community getting completely disrespected in a way in which people are being slaves, and we can't speak about that, but we can speak about the Christians in Ukraine. Like, make it make sense. You're dividing everyone. Make it make sense.
But that is the thing that is what people in power, I would say, do the best is, it's a very old saying of divide and conquer.
Yeah, 100%.
As long as you have division and we view each other differently on the ground, you can conquer. And it's just a classic example of divide and conquer.
That's why I say, if they're running the world and they're on divide and conquer, I'm not on conquer, but I'm on divide. I will take myself away from individuals that have that mentality and are on that. And I will stick with my people. Rude, you're my people.
I hear you.
I don't want to be with
I think the statement of I am on divide for me doesn't sit right. But as a statement,
I'm on divide.
I understand what you're saying, but when I hear I am on divide as a statement, I can't say I am on divide.
I'm on it. If you do something which means me being around you is a danger to me, if you're part of a group of individuals that are a danger to me, I'm on division. I'm on division like I like mass.
I'm on distance and peace, but I guess you can call it division, but I wouldn't call it division. I don't think division is the right term.
Let me see what division means. I don't feel like it's negative. I don't think
it's necessarily negative, but I think in the context of divide and conquer.
That's what I'm saying. I'm on the conquer thing. Division.
Divide. It's two entities apart from each other.
Come on, give me maths.
Division is.
Two what?
Two entities that are apart from one another. So it can be used in that sense. I'm not saying it can't.
Yeah, so it's actually the state of being divided, the act, process, or the instance of disturbing among I'm just out.
Disturbing a what?
Disturbing among a number.
Disturbing among, okay.
Disputing. Distributing. Distribution among a number.
Oh, okay.
Basically, it just means getting away from someone, boy. I'm on that, man. I'm sorry, Vuj. I think it's very important to understand where you should live. I think that is so important. Because, like I said, if you got an MBE and you think you're part of this thing, if you watch the news, you should be very upset. You should be very upset. They basically said in your face, oh, you got an MBE, all of that, yeah, great. But there's some European white people that are Christians with blue eyes getting killed. We're concerned about that. But you see the people that are probably related to you, they can't actually even get into Poland. We're just going to leave them there.
Bruv, it's a mad thing.
Leave a comment, let us know what you think, man. Leave a comment, let us know. Make sure this Manscaped situation as well, man. Get your balls shaved, man. I understand it's heavy. This episode's been a bit heavy, but do you want to be any heavier with additional hair? Get rid of it, cuz. Lighten up, man. You know my thing, like you ain't been in the sun for time. Lighten
You
up.
have to laugh. That was actually an interesting, just to end, but it's going on a tangent again. There's a guy, a philosopher writer called Slavoj Žižek. He's Slovenian. So obviously he was born in Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
So he lived in Yugoslavia. He was part of the Yugoslav army. And he said how in the ranks of the army, it was like, you know, Serbs, Croats, Bosnians, Slovenians. He said, we used to all laugh at each other and be able to poke jokes at each other's cultures and backgrounds and religions and ethnicities. Because as things got more serious, he goes, the first thing that went is humour. And he goes, when we lost humour, that's when everything went out the window. So I sort of thought that was quite
that
intricate point. Is you have to there has to be an element of humour in very hard situations. And obviously, unfortunately, what happened in Yugoslavia happened. But he was like, yeah, when we stopped, we couldn't make fun of each other anymore because everybody was,
got too real, man.
Everybody got a little bit too defensive in their ways. That's when the conflict began. So humour, man, humour is somewhere in it all.
That's why you got to have humour with your people, because then that issue would never happen.
I think humour with everyone though, because it's humour shit, man.
Look what happened in Yugoslavia, big man.
But if they carried on with humour, then there wouldn't have been war.
No, I agree. But like I said,
and they were one people,
but it didn't.
A nation.
Stick with your people. That is my motto, my thing for this. Know your people.
It's tricky.
Know your people. If you don't know your people, your life is going to be a problem. Big problem. Humor is very important. I like that. I'm gonna write that one down. What's his name?
He's a mad. He has a lisp as well. He has this like spitting lisp. It's like
like Conan.
No. He has a real like it's hard to listen to sometimes.
Go away.
No, that's how he speaks. Like if you look up Slavoj Žižek, he's like, and the people that the Slovenia they come to like. That's how he speaks.
What's his name?
Check him out. Slavoj Žižek. Slavoj.
Slavoj.
Space Zizek, Zizek. When we were just remembered, we actually went to Ukraine. We went
Champions League
Kiev.
final.
It was a great city.
It was an eerie moment though.
For me,
just before the ice cream van.
What happened before the ice cream van?
So remember, we were walking around the city. I don't know what we were looking to do, but then at one point we walked around an area which had no one in it, and then it was almost like a secluded part, and then there was like 7 guys from Ukraine that were looking at us.
Yeah, I remember that. The hooligans.
And you made me know. You gave me a look that let me know. Head straight and just keep walking.
Yeah, we went past some hooligans in the Ukraine.
Blood?
When England... No, sorry, it was obviously Liverpool playing Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And they were probably out there just looking for a bit of trouble, as hooligan groups do. And there was like 10 of them just... we went off the piste of the high road into like a side road. And then it was like me in a Liverpool shirt... few other guys like me and Poet, our producers, everybody just sort of looking quite foreign in Ukraine, and then these men just looking at us, just scoping, like, should we do something? But luckily, I think we looked so weak and really not a challenge for them to beat us up.
We had shorts on.
That they just said, you know what, these lot aren't worth it.
Shorts on
they
and colourful
looked at
top.
us and went, this is not worth it. But I think if we looked a little bit more geezerish, if I had a Stony on,
Oi.
that would have been a Stony off situation. So be careful where you wear your Stone Islands in Eastern Europe,
bruv,
because they associate that with hooliganism.
Crazy.
Yeah,
that was
a weird one. But another weird part for me was because obviously the war in Ukraine of 2014 happened, and there was loads of posters of men that had passed away in a war on trees. So every tree had an image of a man that passed away in the war as like a memorial, like. Name, Ivan, this, date of birth, passed away here, battle. And like on every tree that I walked past, I remember seeing a different face of a different man.
That's
and
sad,
that
man.
shit is eerie. And I think they're forgotten about. They're the people that are forgotten about. This shit carries on, but what, like, your life is gone and now you're a memorial on a tree. It's like how cheap it is, how cheap it is for people that run these countries.
But then on top of that, it's like if you're in a country, sorry to go on, so I know you want to quit, but when you're in a country where that is just so much around you, like how true this is, I don't know. I spoke to someone the other day that told me 90% of Russian families have lost someone during the war. Like that's bound to make you bitter.
That might be after World War II or one.
After World War II, yeah. To me. Yeah. Like, that will make you bitter, bro. That will make you feel like, what the hell, bruv? Like you will, I don't know. Certain things have happened to me in my life and it's shared amongst a group of people, and that's what kind of unites us, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Like I know when women, for example, I know a couple girls that link up because they've had the same guy cheat on them, and that empowers them for some strange reason, and they have conversations, they build a relationship over that. But I think it's such an unhealthy way to build a relationship. So if all you talk about is war in your country and we're gonna come together and look, I don't even know how healthy that is growing up. It means it normalizes war and violence and all of this to you. So when it kicks off, it's like, yeah, it's what we do, innit? Like I lost someone to war in the family.
Yeah,
I don't want that energy.
The many parts of the human experience that exist and how varied it can be, how varied the human awareness and experience can be, consciousness.
Shout out Oleg Luzhny forever. Shout out Golovin.
Shout out to Voronin. Andriy Voronin, Liverpool, with a ponytail. Yeah, he actually had to leave Dynamo Moscow because he was a manager. He left like 2 days ago, I think, on one of the last flights out of Russia to go back to the Ukraine. Yeah, a lot of the footballers and people are going to Ukraine to defend their cities. So it's just surreal. It's surreal.
Oleg Luzhny, the first Ukrainian to win the Premier League.
Yeah.
Alright, my people. It's been a heavy episode. Try to make it as light as possible. Like, share and subscribe. Oh my lord, I keep ending it without telling you lot something that we spoke about at the start of the show. So, me and Vuj had a little bit of a talk.
Okay, yes.
And more or less, in May, we're going to revisit and have another discussion, as it could potentially be just the end of Poe and Vuj. I imagine we could end up just doing sporadic work together, but as a continuous week by week basis, we're going to have another conversation in May, but it potentially could be the end of that.
Good to let you guys know first. I think people, especially if they've reached this far in the podcast.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, Callum's going to be editing how he edits it, so I don't know, probably towards the end anyway. Need to let the core fan base know, the humans that have been giving us so much support over the last few years, and obviously the years prior to that as well, a couple 90, and it has actually been nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
So we're in the 10th year of working together. It's mad. I feel like we need to download all the shit we've done and do like a compilation video of like the best moments. I feel like that should be so just a video that sits there.
100%.
I might even shout up on Noventa and be like, you man, I must just give me the footage in it. Just I need it for my sort of, I don't know, not sanity, but purpose, like a little ending video. But yeah, it's good to let you guys know. But yeah, we're gonna revisit it in May, and but yeah, there's no Russia-Ukraine vibes over here. We're still, do you know what I mean?
100, man.
Still brothers and friends, but
it's
it feels like it's the potential right moment anyway.
Yeah, man. We'll go into more discussion about it later on. But that could be the very much, and it is heartbreaking for me to say. It's very difficult for me to say because this has been lit.
It doesn't mean it's the end forever. Do you feel me?
No.
Yeah, in terms of things still might pop in here and there, but I think that sort of consistent going for it. Yeah, it's potentially no more greatest football analysis show in the world. Now you're just gonna have the kickoff.
This is actually older.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, the kickoff is lit.
For the 20,000 of you.
This is older than my kids, fam. Yeah. God bless you all. One love, man. And remember, life is just crazy.
When life gives you lemons,
suck dick.
Shave your balls.
Shave your balls, man.
She.